This is Time Warner Cable's Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance. Our guest, Anthony Portantino, member of the California State Assembly, although as a result of Proposition 140, his tenure in that body is ending after 6 years. And I thought we'd look back. I think it's fair to say you made some noise over the last 6 years.
Well, I like to think I've pushed some good government reform and pushed the envelope for accountability. We need to be accountable.
And what's interesting about your pushing for reform is you are a Democrat going up against Democratic leadership. That is not very common, and same with Republicans. I mean,
Right.
Republicans won't go up against their own leadership. Did you pay a price for that?
Absolutely. Now, but every time you try to do something, there's always going to be somebody who resists it. Unfortunately, when it comes to government reform, when it comes to pushing accountability, those in charge, frankly, generally resist those efforts, and we saw that. I mean, I was saying to the leaders, it's the public's money. The public has a right to know how you spend their money.
And that's what we're talking about.
Right.
Is you were calling for the Assembly's books to be open in terms
Correct.
of their financials, and the court agreed with you.
The court agreed with me because it's the public's money.
Right.
And when I pushed efforts to audit the legislature, how often have you seen a politician stand on the street corner and say, let's audit that school or let's audit that
Right.
city? But I said simply to the legislature, well, shouldn't we start with ourselves first?
So when that happened, I believe you got a new office and not a better
Well,
office.
what happened
or
is
did they take away your budget?
They cut my staff budget, and that's the seed of how they control power. Is they control your budgets, they control your assignments.
You didn't get sent to the basement?
I didn't get sent to the basement, but they laid off my entire staff for 40 days. All 11 people, including a single mother of 3 with a baby. She got a layoff notice. We ultimately, I think, pretty much shamed them out of it. We did a fundraiser for a local food drive, and we called it Lemonade. So we made lemonade out of our
Right.
lemons. And,
Right.
they got so embarrassed, and then the court sided with me, and of course the Stanford students who crunched the numbers saw that my budget was not out of line.
Right, because you've been accused of
Right. So they just made up a whole bunch of
Right.
bad stuff. For frankly, they're bad people doing
Well,
doing silly things.
But
And-
what's interesting about it is during this whole era, I think it's fair to say that you remained fairly well liked amongst both caucuses. I mean, yes, you had problems with leadership, but I didn't get this sense that there was a lot of antipathy
Right.
coming at you. It was like, there's Anthony, but there were still like, he's our
Well, I
friend.
think there was a lot of quiet respect. I think there were people sort of quietly rooting for me to continue to what I consider fighting the good fight. The bottom line is this. I've had to look 3 speakers in the eye and say the same sentence. They didn't vote for me. My district of 500,000 people sent me to Sacramento to do my job.
But what's interesting is I look at your district. I mean, it's not San Francisco. You'd expect a maverick coming out of San Francisco. I mean, you're in the nice suburbs of San Gabriel Valley. You wouldn't expect that district to, bring such a rabble rouser.
My mother taught me to do the right thing.
And I don't criticize you at all. I want to look forward, though. My gut tells me we have not seen the last of Anthony Portantino as it relates to the political arena.
Well, I'm going to take some time off, but you know what? There's unfinished business. They still exempt themselves. I'm talking to the legislature from the California Public Records Act. That's wrong.
Right.
They still refuse to do an annual performance audit, even though they're supposed to. That's wrong. There's lots to fight for, and especially when times are tough. We, as the elected officials, need to be more accountable to the people, not less. And that's the message that I tell them every single day. It's not about whether you're going to tax people. It's what are you going to do with the money, and can they trust you?
How do you keep your message heard loud and clear without an office behind you?
Well, I think the voice of the people are behind me, and as budgets get cut, you're going to see more and more people saying, do the right thing, legislature, and I'm going to keep them honest.
His name is Anthony Portantino, member of the California State Assembly now. I'm Brad Pomerance. Thanks for watching Time Warner Cable's Local Edition.